Hello, everybody. Dave Neal, stand-up comic host, Bachelor Nation News, and we are here, Power Recapper, discussing what Blake had to say about his ex-fiancée, Katie Thurston. Have you heard of her? He's Blake Moynes, Canadian's finest, the old Maple Leaf macho man. What am I talking about here? He's the type of guy you can put a hat on backwards and make it not look douchey. You can almost see testosterone just by looking at him. All right, he's the type of guy, I could just do this all day. He's the type of guy who could eat maple syrup, which is nothing but sugar, and still gain muscle mass. That's my guy, Blake Moynes. He's the type of guy who eats Canadian bacon. Okay. Follow me on Instagram at DNeils, patreon.com/Dave Neal. Oh boy, first 20 seconds, early runner for best video of 2022. Don't blow this, Dave. Speaking of blowing it, that relationship didn't work out and they're going to discuss it. Oh, I say that in jest, but here's the thing. People go, oh, Dave, you're a big Katie Thurston fanboy. You're full of bias. I'm as equally a fan of Blake Moynes. When they broke up, it was like parents I barely knew getting divorced. It was like not a good day in the old Dave Neal household. All right, follow me on Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal. And also Dave Neal's community is free community on Facebook. You can go there. We have a question for you guys today. Does anyone live in Pennsylvania and has some access to some baby powder? I can't believe it's 2022 and our country, land of the free, is having problems with accessing baby. Did I say baby powder? Baby formula. I want some baby powder. I want some baby formula, guys. Go to my Facebook if you can help out. It's a serious sort of issue. One of our grandmothers on Facebook is trying to help out. Boy, if a hero comes along and helps us out, I will grant you a free Patreon for life, please. So let us know on Dave Neal's community if you can help out. All right, so we're going to get into a couple clips from Blake on Nick Viall's podcast here. And here's the deal. You guys, we make a lot of videos critical of Nick. He's really good of a podcaster at getting his interviewees to say things. I think they're starting to get on to that. I think they're starting to realize, I got to be careful what I say on Nick's podcast because a lot of times it can generate a lot of clicks. So Nick tries his best, he really does, to get Blake to either throw Katie under their bus or say things, a lot of people have been trying to get Blake to admit that Katie cheated on him, and it kind of becomes, well, no, there's no physical cheating, but was there emotional cheating? Well, define emotional cheating. Did you ever look at another guy? And then if you ever looked at another guy, maybe your subconscious was thinking, it goes, how far down the rabbit hole does it go? If it, but don't get me wrong. There is emotional cheating. I'm texting with somebody and he's providing me this dopamine that my relationship's not. That's not what happened here, right, guys? Let's watch the video right here. We'll find it on TikTok. I'm going live right after this in 11 minutes, right after this video. So if you watch this, come with me to Patreon. That was a weird way to phrase it. Join me on patreon.com/Dave Neal, where I'm going to be doing my private live stream. Yesterday on the Patreon, by the way, you can access all my live streams. Afterwards, yesterday, I discussed why June 2022 was my most successful month ever, and I share with you guys the statistics to back that up. So thank you guys all out there. All right, let's get to this first TikTok. Here's Nick. And again, I flipped through the video and I couldn't find the YouTube version of this. I really wanted the YouTube version just to get the unedited sort of like what they actually said without the music. But here's Nick's TikTok grilling Blake about his breakup.
How's your heart?
It's good now. Time heals all, man.
Would you say you're 100% healed?
Yes.
How long did it take to get to 100%?
Quicker than you think, only because I think she made it easy for me to just okay, I'm good.
How long did it take?
6 to 8 weeks, I think.
What was the hardest part about getting over that relationship, and what was the easiest part?
I think the easiest and the hardest is actually the exact same thing, which is the hardest being trying to figure out how much that maybe mentally played into like how it ended at the end.
You're referring to her relationship with John?
Yes. Okay. But that also made it the easiest because once it moved on, I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? It made it easy for me.
Once she moved on, he's like, okay, I'm good. Hey, and this is great. I've had this with exes where you're like love torn over somebody and it's like, rip the Band-Aid off, bro. They're not into you anymore. And that's okay too. Everyone has different times that they get to that place. I think it's because we all compartmentalize differently. Like you can think you can still make a relationship work if the other person breaks up with you. Maybe they break up with you like, you're just not the type of, well, I'll change, I'll be different. And then it's like, no. She was going to date John. Like that was just the natural progression of where she was going. He was Mr. Right and also Mr. Right here now, whereas Blake wasn't there. Now, Katie's still on her journey. She just got dumped by John. And so it didn't work out there. But clearly, regardless of the relationship with John, the relationship with Blake just wasn't meant to be. It might have worked in the desert in Arizona, but they were just on different trajectories. So good on him and good on her for realizing that sooner than later and not being stubborn.
If someone does something, even though I really, truly, like I said, I really don't think there's any cheating there at all. I really don't.
All right, it says there is no cheating there at all. And then a good podcaster might follow up to drive a wedge into that.
What's your definition of cheating?
All right, so hey, credit where it's due. This is good. What's your definition of cheating?
Like physically.
What about emotionally?
Time-wise alone, it was just so quick that like there had to have been something there for it to like click that quick.
All right, so Blake says timeline there alone, there had to have been something there for it to click that quickly. Well, yeah, when you make a fire, right, there's no fire until there's a spark that happens. But just because there might have been something there doesn't mean there was intention created. I feel like I'm going to argue this till the day I die. And I'm not disagreeing with Blake. I don't think Blake's saying there was cheating, but he's saying, look, define things as you want. The big C word, cheating, right? The big C word is a tough accusation to levy onto someone. And I don't know if we've ever had a cheating sort of scenario happen in Bachelor Nation amongst leads. I don't think that's ever happened. I could be wrong. Let me know. Leave a comment. But it's like, look, yeah, she ended up dating John. She must have been into him in some way or another. John and Blake and all these other guys were put on her season because the producers thought they would all be good matches for her. So any one of these guys is probably better than your average Dick or Harry that you might meet out at the bar. And by better than, I mean, they're very attractive. They're tall. I met John and I was like, why you got to be 6'3" or whatever you are? I'm 5'11" and I feel like I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. Just shaking his hand, like, and don't get me started with Blake. I mean, the guy's a monster. The guy's like vacuous is the word I'll use to describe Blake, right? He's just, those are extra large pants he's wearing. You know what I mean? The guy does squats for breakfast. All right. So anyway, Blake comes from a great family. Shout out to his mom, Emily. She's a fantastic, she's an author. She's an outspoken mom advocate. He comes from a good family. He also lives in another country. Okay. He lives in Canada, and the difference is on paper where you go, well, I'll fly up to you and you fly down to me. We'll make it. Look, whatever Katie needed, she just wasn't going to get it from Blake. And I think that's important for people to understand. So maybe accidentally through her own friend group, some sort of Trojan horse, realize, all right, well, hey, this guy's a friend, and next thing you know, he's more than one. Wasn't that wild when we look back on it? Wasn't that wild when she's doing like an Instagram live and she has a knock on the door and it's like a Postmates and it's like a wine glass or whatever? Yeah, hey, that's where it is. So Katie's single now. She actually said she went on a date yesterday with a friend date. Let's go to the part at 120. I think that's it, the end of it, right?
But that also, like, the jump between relationship just made it easy to move on. It was just like, okay, I'm good.
How's your heart?
Yeah, and sometimes that happens. You do a little relationship jump. All right, I'm assuming some commenters will disagree with me, and that's your right. That is your right to do. That's fine. But I do like Blake, and I wish him well. And, if I read some of the comments, some of the criticism Nick got on this episode is that Blake offered very few words. And I think, Blake doesn't want to say things out of space, and he doesn't want to comment on Blake Horstman, and he doesn't want to comment on a lot of these things because it ain't none of his business, it ain't none of his business. But there were moments there when you wanted Blake to respond to something and he was being interrupted, and that's hard. Look, I remember when I ran my podcast for 8 years, and sometimes people would leave me a comment, Dave, you like railroaded. I wanted to hear more from the guest. I've gotten that critique, which is the critique Nick's getting here. And in my head, I go, look, you don't understand. I was looking in the eyes of the guest. They weren't giving me much. They weren't giving me much to work with. And in this case, where the commodity is tea, or the commodity is information, fair if Blake's not going to give it up. If anything, if I were Blake, I'd be like, look, don't give up your tea until you write a book or make a podcast or whatever. Don't give your tea to somebody else. Do what you got to do to make sure that you are a sort of profiting off of the information you have if you ever go down that route. All right, let's just watch the final moment here of Nick saying, please, can you give me something?
I've been low key for the most part the last 8 months.
How would you handle someone publicly talking about you that you didn't agree with?
Whoever could you mean?
Why are you trying to start some shit?
No,
man?
I don't know if this is about Blake or Katie, to be Blake Horseman or Katie. I think he means Katie, but I don't know.
How would I deal with it?
Not necessarily, but
I'm really not that controversial. I don't like
Mic up here.
I probably wouldn't respond.
So he says, Nick, hey, I wouldn't respond. But then, hey, like I said, I don't blame Nick. He's responding on his podcast, on his TikTok, on his Instagram, on his social media. This is going to be, for Nick, like, this is what feeds his family. This is what's going to put his kid through college. So I don't blame him. I don't blame him whatsoever. I don't blame him whatsoever for continuing the beef.
The case stuff.
It's always the smart stuff. Smart way.
Yeah,
we try not to. Well,
that's where we just lost it. We almost had something from Blake. Blake tries to chime back in.
I probably wouldn't respond.
Right here.
I mean, with the case stuff.
It's always the smart stuff. Smart way.
Yeah,
we try not to. Well, I
know
but
you have reason to.
People usually generally don't believe. For the most part, we don't respond to most things. Every once in a while, it's just like, hey, well, might as well get some clicks out of it.
Hey, and I feel it might. I gotta make a soundbite out of that. Might as well get some clicks out of it. Absolutely, that's a soundbite if I've ever seen one. All right, speaking of their future marriage didn't work out, being Blake and Katie. And speaking of marriage, 2 days ago, there was a bill passed to codify same-sex marriage, and 157 Republican politicians voted against gay marriage. I may lose one or two of you here, but if you enjoy my content, and even if you disagree with me, maybe this is worth just checking out. Let's take a look at how they honor traditional definition of marriage in their own lives. Lauren Boebert voted against marriage equality yesterday. She's been outspoken about LGBTQ people as how they're grooming kids, but has been quiet about how her husband was arrested in 2004 for exposing his genitals to a group of teenage girls in a bowling alley. Lauren was there. The two married 3 years later. There is the sheriff's office note. Clay Higgins voted against marriage equality yesterday. He defines marriage biblically as between one man and one woman. He believes this so much that he's done it 4 times. Oh, the old Quattro. Married in 83, divorced in 91, remarried the same year and divorced in 1999. Oh, remarried in the same year. Was there emotional cheating? Remarried in 2003 and divorced in 2007 and remarried in 2009. A king of tradition, Matt Gaetz, voted against marriage equality yesterday. While he may believe that a marriage is between a man and a woman, he hasn't specified what age those people must be. Matt has been under investigation since 2020 for an alleged relationship he had with a 17-year-old who he reportedly paid to travel with him, violating traffic laws. Marjorie Taylor Greene, voted against marriage equality yesterday. She spent much of her career preaching Christianity and recently claimed that straight people will soon be extinct. She also spends a lot of time in the gym, where she's reportedly had extramarital affairs with 2 men, the manager of the gym, as well as a self-described polyamorous tantric sex guru. Gay marriage, though, is where she seems to draw the line. Jodey Arrington voted against marriage equality yesterday. On his website, he writes, I believe marriage is a sacred union between one man and one woman, or 2 women, or even 3. Jodey was married in 1995, divorced in 1999, remarried in 2002, divorced in 2007, remarried in 2008, and all of his marriages are very sacred. Madison Cawthorn voted against marriage equality yesterday. He's recently stated the left wants to destroy the nuclear family in America. Perhaps he should focus on his own nuclear family, which lasted less than a year and ended in divorce in late 2021. Madison has also been accused of misconduct and assault by 4 women he went to college with. Politicians who voted against gay marriage yesterday that have been divorced and or married multiple times: Mitch McConnell, Scott, Bill, Debbie, Pete, Plug, Claudia, Beth, Madison, Mark, Jody, Troy, Ken, Drew, Russ, Sam, Stephen. The sanctity of marriage needs to be protected. Republicans will be like, gay marriage just doesn't follow the traditional definition of marriage, and then cheat on their 3rd wife. There it is, folks. Welcome to the United States of America. Let me know what you guys think. Stick around. More content coming your way. I'll be on Patreon, patreon.com/Dave Neal. I'm on Instagram @DNeals. I have a stand-up show tonight. And God bless the United States of America. Vote with your dollar. See you guys later. Bye, guys.